Alright, I'll scratch my shoulder a little bit. Garand Thumb, he's pretty famous, YouTube famous. Apparently he's also testified before a few military professionals. He's very good at his job. He's also very funny. He also teaches about evasion. I can't do none of that anymore. By the way, I was never good at it because it was never something I practiced, and it's never anything that I seriously tried to learn. Also, I can't run. And the more I have to live like this, the more I fall apart. The more my things fall apart, the less I'm able to take care of myself. So I can't impart this knowledge to anybody, but this guy can. I'll post the link in the description below. I'm tired of taking abuse. We all know that things are falling apart around us. We can see the infrastructure everywhere in America falling apart. We're relying on roads and bridges, some of which were built in the 1920s and 1930s. Some of them were built even better in the 1950s, but the fact is we're still utilizing them. Not for some historic reason, but because we can't afford to fix them, apparently. Anyway, you get to see how the news here does exactly the same thing as they did in Nazi Germany. Going after who first? Who did they go after before they went after the Jews? The homeless and the disabled, that's right. The quote-unquote mentally ill, especially. Didn't matter your mental illness. If you're depressed because your baby died, well, that was good enough. Here's a group of workers once, and they had this thing called hand signals. And there's a specific group of crane operators that apparently were able to outsmart some Marines. I guess the story is that they were all Marines, but one of them had taught everybody the hand signals also as a crane operator. So they were able to basically make a whole code that only they knew. Pretty cool. Acquired knowledge, right? You take something old and do something new with it. I got such nasty crustiness in my ears. Part of me is, oh my god. I could really use a shower and a good exfoliation. That'd be so wonderful. Except I live in a shit pit because I'm in bad shape. There's one thing I want to impart upon you. First of all, I highly recommend not having a gun for your go bag. Do not have a gun in your go bag. If you need a gun, you need to make that decision on the spot, whether or not you're going to grab that. The go bag is everything you need for basic survival, everything that you're going to take on the go. I know a couple of people that have 3 or 4 next door, like lined up, whatever the scenario is. You know, here's the stuff for World War III. Here's the stuff for if anything happens with Grandma, because she's old, including all of the babysitter stuff. Here's the bag for if my wife goes into labor. And here's the one for if I'm at work, for just in case all 3 of those scenarios. I got a little of everything. The environment that I'm in. And I know a lot of you feel the same. I've heard a lot of you telling me your stories, and you're fucking believe goddamn paranoid. Holy hell, you guys are fucking paranoid. I probably shouldn't chuckle at that. But the stuff that I'm paranoid of is people getting jealous of stupid shit and doing stupid shit because they're jealous. Or people making a snap judgment and not trying to find out what's going on, just fucking jumping to conclusions and destroying a life. We're all human beings, we're all capable of making mistakes. Can we all fucking agree on that? Goddamn right we can. Now it's those who admit what mistakes they made that are the important ones. If a person can't admit that, they ain't worth a fuck as a friend. There's a lot of my friends, people who I love very much, that ended up dead after Natalie was killed. You can see there's a lot of nice people in each environment that I go to, and those nice people are always very nice to me, aren't they? But they don't understand what the rest of the recordings I have are. How easy it is for mandated reporters to blow me off when I go in by myself. See, a lot of people promised they'd help and offered to help and even sent me a whole shit ton of evidence, but nobody would do it that way, and then they'd tell me I did it the wrong way and I have to try it another way. Over and over and over again. This is what it's like being disabled, homeless male. Now, with all of the assaults that I take, I'm not quite sure why people don't understand that even with those things recorded, why doesn't anyone call it in? That's the part right there when people say, you know, there's good people out there. I think to myself, really? When I record stuff that's blatantly and obviously against the law, is being done to myself or others in the community that I'm in. Those of us who are at-risk adults, which is most of the people that are being abused, obviously, that's why they're targeted. And who does something about it? I mean, I got my camera there so I can record it, but how do cops treat me when I try to turn it in? How did Marcus Ibarra and his boss treat me? Did they make sure that Jamie had a safe place to recover from that? When it comes to Jamie in the Dalles, Oregon, there's a video on my channel called Jamie Again, Sean David. Type that in. The video itself, it'll say Jamie again. You get to see at the very beginning how a man is following her. She's screaming at him. He punches her. And I yell at him. There's about 30 people there. For the police, Health and Human Services, and all the other agencies that you send around in circle to send you. And I beg people to understand. I beg them. Please understand. Please listen. So that church parking lot there that we're sent to, the police send us there. Sheriff's Department sends us there. Health and Human Services sends us there. Over and over again. Recently, that church got in trouble for having so many people over there and all the ruckus they were causing in the neighborhood. The thing is that the people who were charged them with crimes are the same people that stole all of those people over there to begin with. This is horrible. The reason that Grand Thumb, who is famous for going tip to butt and teaching everybody else how to go tip to butt, that is very important. If you don't understand the terminology, here on YouTube, type Grand Thumb, tip to butt. Or just look for his channel, Grand Thumb. It's because it's a Hamas thing. You're minding your fucking business. You're not doing a goddamn thing evil to nobody at any point in time. You're too fucking lazy. You've had an exhausting day. You're having to listen to some nagging. But you know what? It's alright, because you are in a lot of pain, and you should be allowed 5 minutes to sit on your fucking couch and take a rest. And then you're going to go take a shower, and then you hear gunshots. And then you hear some more, and they get closer. And then your windows all blow in. In that situation, you know what? You start hearing stuff blowing up in your neighborhood. I know this may sound contrary to a good fucking idea, but open the goddamn windows. That's if there's just explosives going off. If you don't see or hear any explosives going off, you might have to worry about a gas attack, which has happened. And in that case, obviously having closed windows, closed doors, putting a wet towel at the base of your door, stuffing saran wrap, or if you need to, wet clothes, or clothes with Vaseline, which, by the way, will make it more flammable, so keep that in mind. But that'll help make it so that if there's any kind of biological, airborne, anything coming through, that you can hopefully seal it off. There's also a lot of emergency foams for if you know for a fact that that's going on. You can spray these foams and they don't release hardly any chemicals of any sort. Like it's supposed to be 99% clean compared to anything else because it expands via water and pressure. There's a lot of different stuff that you can get for your house, but that's not what this is about. What this is about is I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here at all. You tell me to move, I can't just keep moving. I can't take care of myself. I don't know what you're doing making me do this. I have to spend all of my money to pay people to help me move my stuff because, see, here's the thing about moving to Tillamook. Even if they did put me in housing, if there's crimes committed against me, I can't go to the police. They won't do their jobs. Any of the services here, they're more likely to antagonize the situation, act unprofessional, and then play victim. The first thing that somebody does before they play victim, though, is they start playing stupid. As soon as they start playing stupid, that is your cue to leave. That's the important part about my videos. It shows the point at which all of these mandated reporters started playing stupid. So Megan Mistigatus, she had noticed that it seemed to be whenever I said something about the cops, everybody started playing stupid. Duh. That's the point of people needing to go in with me. They need to say, You do not get to dictate a conversation because it's not a conversation. A victim is trying to tell you what happened. It's not okay for you to talk over the victim, to sell your own narrative, to give some long-winded story about what your job is, when you know goddamn well that your job is to be a mandated reporter. Having a friend to help turn that in is a big help. Otherwise, those mandated reporters believe that their job is optional, that they are in fact and indeed optional reporters and not mandated reporters. Consequently, if you claim to be friend or family, you need to actually be friend or family. You need to understand that when there's paperwork for physically or mentally disabled people or the elderly, the first people that it addresses when it says how to prevent these things and how to turn them in is friends or family. When you call Adult Protective Services to turn something in, they ask you who you are turning it in for. When the police say that you cannot make a report for someone else, what they're trying to do is manipulate and twist what you're doing just by twisting words around. That's literally all they're doing. You are allowed to make a report about abuse that you did in fact and indeed see, even if it is on the internet. And that's something that I've tried to prove time and again. Oh, people tell me, nobody will listen. Nobody's going to care. Courts don't care if it's on fucking Facebook. I'm like, really? Watch me. I bet you if I do it, they jump on me like flies on shit. Yeah. That's right. The things that these people wanted to argue with me over whether or not it's illegal. If you're going to tell me something's not illegal and then I do it and I get arrested, well, then it's probably illegal. And you probably should have listened to me when I told you people were doing that to me. And when you tell me that people are doing illegal things to you and your friends and family because of this, because of the Natalie Bollinger situation, because of you talking to me, or because you spoke up for me, or whatever it is that you claim that you did in the group. And some of it I have actual evidence of it, so you're all right. But the thing is, none of you who argued in those groups tried to help turn this shit in. Ever. Shannon Alvarado wants to talk about something she did in 2019 or 2020. It was nice. It was. And it was almost close to helping me to turn stuff in, but no. And it absolutely didn't help to turn in any of the evidence against Kara Johnston Miles or the Bollinger family that Shannon Alvarado had produced. Nor did she come forward about any of the threats that anyone made. On the bright side, I started recording everybody that I called to the best of my ability while I was there at Shannon Alvarado's in California. Protecting yourself technologically is so important this day and age, especially if you're a male. You're expected to be the protector of the family. You're also supposed to take the fall. You're expected to be the Hollywood rendition. You're always supposed to think a way out. But if you can't think a way out, you're supposed to hand your oldest boy the rifle and you hold him off, right? Cowboy westerns. Well, how about we think about it logistically? A big family is tough to feed, but many hands make for light work. As long as you stick together, you can protect each other, and if you miss something, somebody else might see it. If they miss something, you might see it. Separating from family is always a bad idea. When you're out in the forest, separating is always a bad idea. When you're in strange terrain or a foreign environment, it's always a bad idea to separate. What you need to do is SIN, S-I-N, safety in numbers. Maybe a couple of you trickle out of some buildings because you have to keep yourself clandestine. One person walks on one side of the street, the other person walks on the other. If you have to. Some folks I know are super extra paranoid and they have extra changes of clothes underneath their clothes. I know one woman who does that. She has clothes underneath her clothes and she keeps a wig, like a weird, it's weird. It's like a stretch, what do you call them? Those things that you use like a hairnet, because she puts her hair up in a bun and puts this thing over it. But, when you got a ex-boyfriend who stalks you everywhere, and then that ex-boyfriend puts you in the hospital, and then the ex-boyfriend gets out of prison and then comes looking for you again, and he's still on the run, and he's making profiles to threaten to kill you and threaten to kill your family. Like, holy hell, yeah, sometimes you gotta do desperate shit. If you see him while you're out and about, you might want to get out of view and change clothing, I grew up mostly in the urban environment, right? No, I didn't. I grew up mostly in the system and in the cities. I didn't move to Nebraska till I was 15. What I know is mostly concrete. I'm also autistic, so people just assume I'm retarded as soon as they know. And if they don't know, then they make assumptions I'm some sort of creeper. It sucks. I get harmed everywhere I go. I don't want to be here anymore because people just keep hurting me and not understanding, and I don't hate them for it. I hate what they did, not them. Anyway, I should probably put the $5 that I got left in for gas, but I really want you guys to look up Go Bag, GO-BAG, or Emergency Go Bag. A lot of people are, World War III preppers, and a lot of military people are also military preppers because, when you're at home, something like Hamas happens, you want to know what the fuck you're doing. In that situation, you also want your entire family to know how to use those weapons so that they're going to effectively use them without blowing their own fucking heads off on accident, which is one of the biggest problems with households that have guns. You teach them it's not a toy, but you do need to show them how to use it. Because if they find it and try to use it without knowing how to work it, something very bad could happen. Let's imagine you got your safety on. Kid finds your pistol. It's locked and loaded, and it's even got one in the chamber because you're being a dumbass. But you figure the safety's on. Or your kid tries pulling the trigger, doesn't work. He says, oh, it's real heavy. This is really heavy. Yeah, it's bigger than your pistol squirt gun, isn't it? Of course it is. So he's trying to figure out what's wrong with it. Puts his thumb over the safety and clicks it. He's trying all the little buttons. When he sees the magazine pop out, he's seen a couple movies, played a couple video games. You just pop it back in. But he pushes the safety over and he sees it turn red. Or he doesn't. Now, if he's looking down the barrel and he has his thumb on it and he's looking down that thing and he squeezes it to see if it's working, see if it'll actually click this time, and boom! If you'd have showed your kid how to properly use the thing, he never would have blown his own brains out. Looks to me as if it timed out on me. I had my eyes closed, so I didn't see when it did that exactly. So if you didn't get the whole story, I do apologize. We're getting around Halloween time, and a lot of y'all are really into creepy shit. I don't want to be here anymore. I've heard from the females in my life what it is that they're entertained by over and over and over. So many women tell me they're true crime junkies. There's a lot more that are into soap opera type stuff. Basketball wives, holy hell, what the fuck? The kind of stuff I watch and go, oh God, please no. Please turn it off. Please no. Anyway, it doesn't take very long for you to familiarize. Okay, once you've learned how to use it, then you operate it in front of the person that you're teaching it to. However, if you're going to let your kids play with pistols, like water pistols even, and you see them holding it in a way that with a real one, they would hurt themselves, it's probably a good idea, just in case, to let them know that on a real one, that would tear your fucking thumb off on a 1911. Those of you who know what a 1911 is know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, and hell no. That's nasty. And you don't want that happening to your 9-year-old. Now, that knowledge is not going to do me any good. You know why? I don't have any kids. I do not have any kids. In the movies, we get to see what chivalry is supposed to be, right? The guy that ain't got no family and ain't got no kids supposed to give himself up for everybody else, ain't he? I don't. Oh, there we go, having more issues with staying connected. Now, hopefully, y'all get to understand that when I show you all this stuff that people do and say, all of these harmful things, you get to see they're very real. And you get to see that I try to get people to understand. But eventually I have to do say desperate things to try to get heard. If I say those things, then I'm a bad guy. Now, always make sure to mention what it is I'm about to do before I make a video like that. And then, of course, during the video, I like to mention often that that's exactly what I'm doing. Mostly because it's what I have the ability to do at this moment. Physically, I am hoping I'm able to get back over to Safeway and use the bathroom, and once I get there, I'll post up the link. I try to record everywhere, but the thing is, I'm exhausted on this. I don't have the ability to run away from my predators. I have to face them, and that's what sucks. One of the very first things he says in that, or the very first thing, is if you're not in shape, that's it. You need to stay in shape. And that does make sense, doesn't it? Now, he's got experience with different special warfare, including tracking and evasion. And the video link I'm going to try to put in the description here. He tries to impart some of that knowledge because of what's going on in Israel. He also has a few series about packing a go bag. Now, here's the thing that I recommend. Don't go for the super survival preppers that are like militant minded. They're not going to give you a go bag of anything except a bunch of fucking guns and ammo. If you need those, well, you can have that set and buy for an extra grab on if you need it. But the basic survival stuff that you're going to need in your area is going to be the same in most of the situations. Things like, well, food, water, maps. You'd be surprised how easy it is to forget that there's paper maps, or that those can help you to navigate terrain. Stuff like a compass, man, you can take that with you on just about any small thing. You just make sure that you get a good compass, because one of those cheap little $1.99 ones might not be up to par. It might just be a novelty, and that's not going to do you any good. And even if you're in the city, and especially if you're in the city and you're not with the terrain, that's also a good idea. I can't run, so I'd have to use other little tricks that basically don't work when people have dogs. I'd basically be screwed no matter what. So the scenarios that he talks about in the video that I'm going to post a link to. I literally cannot do any of that stuff, no matter how much I wanted to, right? So also notice that it's about getting away. It's not about giving away your position. It's not about shooting at people or anything creepy like that. It's about evasion. And that's it. Anyway, I'm gonna walk over to the safe right now. Try to get myself. I better check my light first. I'll go use the bathroom. Haven't decided if I'm gonna get a banana or coffee. I got $5, you know. Pretty much anything's better than nothing. As soon as I start getting overwhelmed, here's something that has always helped calm me down is coffee. Alright, it doesn't literally always calm me down. There was one time in jail when there was an exceptionally bad situation in Scotts Bluff. Holy shit, there was nothing that was going to calm me down then. Shit. Have my other phone. Yes. Oh. Oh. You know, it'd be nice is if somebody would declare Portland a refugee camp. I'm just saying. Oh. Oh my God, it's Jake from State Farm.
How's it going, man?
You know what I realized? Is that in the commercials there's actually 3 different Jakes from State Farm?
Yeah, now there is. You see one guy now that is the Asian, the African guy. So it's not just the white guy anymore.
Right.
Had to get more diverse with it.
Thank goodness. Oh my God, oh, I am freezing. It's colder than a cast iron commode in the shady side of an iceberg. But that's only because I'm older than dirt. Hell, I invented dirt. Jesus stole that idea from me in shop class.
Oh, shit.
Right? Who do you think taught him how to use a bandsaw?
That's great, man.
Yeah, Jesus, Mary, and Joe. Alright, I am trying to decide whether I want to go inside and get a banana or coffee. Holy shit. I mean, watch my mouth. I just realized that I have enough for coffee and a banana.
You'll wait in line with that coffee and heat your hands up a bit too.
I certainly am. I've been complaining at all sorts of people today in the most horrible way. Things you should never say to or about people. I'm like, you see, this is the thing, is if I say this stuff, you see them emotions that are going through you right now? Yeah, why do you do that to other people? On the bright side, at least I am a bullshitter. I'm not out to hurt anybody. I'm not out to kill anybody. And everybody who makes these suggestions that, all right, so I got this zapper, right, for in case people touch me. And every time people hit me and I have it, I still don't tase them. And I got pepper spray, and even though people hit me when I've got pepper spray, I don't pull it out and spray them in the face. And people are like, you know what you should do, dude? You should fucking spray them in the fucking face and then go chase them in the balls a couple of times. I'm like, oh my God, no.
Jeez.
Like, as soon as somebody says it like that, you're like, well, see, that's why I don't do it. I wouldn't want somebody doing that to me. Yeah, but the point is, you don't want them hitting you either. Yeah. And still, I have them in my pocket. I'll show you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you showed me before.
Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, beat on me, I'm stupid. Oh, all right. I'm not really freezing. I'm just slightly damp. So I'm cold.
So yeah, that's wet. When you get wet, you're wet. Yeah, so sandy. It's the bones.
Yeah, I'm definitely not in any danger of getting frostbite though, you know?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I'm gonna go pick on people who are awake. Let's see what time it is. 6:49. Oh my God. Well, no coffee, I guess. They're closed in 11 minutes. That would be a juice
They
move.
close at 7.
They do, and it's 6:49.
Well, unless you're gonna get something super complicated, I think it'll be fine.
I usually get a tall and a grande cup with plain sugar and the raws and some cream.
I wouldn't feel bad about it. It's their job.
All right.
It's not like you're going in ordering for 7 people.
Well, also, if I spend $50 on a coffee, then I'm only gonna get a refill, and by that time they're gonna be closed. And also, like, I only got $5 for coffee, food, and gas. I'm still gonna panhandle tomorrow, but if I can serve it, that's like. But then I'll get called a conservative.
Shit.
Okay.
Right? I keep trying to figure it out. Should I be a Democrat, a liberal, or a Republican?
You just go back and forth at this point. It doesn't matter.
Right?
Both parties have some good priorities.
You know what? It all tastes the same.
Yeah, right.
Open sesame. Hey, is there any possible way I can get smoke? I guess I should probably post the link in the bottom here. I meant to shut this off and I never got around to it. One of the important things to do, though, the first things you need to do, get some friends and family. That's pretty important. Because, you know, there's a lot of different things that can happen. And some of them, although it's a very, very low probability, very low in some areas and a lot higher in others, it's probably a good idea to practice what to do in a couple of those scenarios at least. Bonjour! It's, that's some of the onions that go down at Tillamook Sporting Goods. Like I said, not all of them are assholes. A lot of them are sarcastic, what you expect, you know? One of them is one of the ones that was bullying me real hardcore, and I get that everywhere. I'm not interested in any sort of violence or anything like that. Matter of fact, I try to deter people from it. Well, go ahead. A lot of stuff that people in Nebraska have good ideas about that a lot of people are thinking are good ideas. I try to explain to some people, you know what a bad idea it is to try to make your own homemade RPG too. As I started looking at the RPG too, I realized that they are made all over the world. Like every single country in the world has had some homemade RPG too. Like literally replica RPG too. Interchangeable parts type RPG too. You get the blueprints off the internet. Some places it'll cost you, some places you won't. Depends on if you can read Russian, I guess. I don't know. I haven't actually tried downloading any of the PDFs. What I like to do is find out what's actually there and what's available. Obviously, with everything I own being full, downloading PDFs onto my phone or anything like that just isn't proper. If you know what I'm saying. I'd have to destroy important evidence. When I say that if it's a situation where I need a gun, that somebody else will probably put one in my hands, I mean it. In many cases and situations, just since I got to Tillamook, where people tried to put guns in my hands, I've told them no. As far as RPG2s go, I've been looking up a whole bunch of places that it says that they have homemade and home-built stuff, and I show what the reality of those situations is. Now, there's a big difference between Vietnam-built RPG2 and North Vietnamese Army RPG2, built in a factory with a little bit better metallurgy and actual telescopic pipe. But it's B40, I believe it's called. Now, all this stuff is all fine and dandy to know and all, but what do you need it for? A lot of the stuff that I'm interested in, it's primarily because people have bad fucking ideas. The hell are you thinking? One guy, he was telling me about how he wanted to make a bazooka. That's what it was. A homemade bazooka, which is an even worse idea. And we can go into the reasons why, but we probably shouldn't. It's not what this is about. Pack light. Okay, that's the number one thing you need to worry about is packing light in almost all situations. Now, if you need everything in your life all packed on you at once, keep in mind you can go out and buy all the plastic wrap you want. But you're in America. If it's so fucked up that it's a World War III type of scenario, it's going to be all over the place. You don't need to weigh yourself down with even that 3 or 4 ounces of what you're going to need for the night over your head in some situations. But you never know. I try to aim for a pack weight, everything except for the pack, literally everything that I'm going to be putting into the pack. I'm aiming for a weight of about 2 to 3 pounds maximum. That's for an emergency go bag. That's the emergency kit, extra rope, dental floss, needles, thread, fishing line, fishing hooks, of course, a field dressing, ace bandage, pair of scissors, compass, whistle, and the more compact the better. can opener just in case. I usually choose something super small like a P38 or a P51. Those are both military can openers. I prefer the P38. It's smaller and more compact, but it's also, for some odd reason, less likely to bend. Maybe you could look into the physics if you really care. It is important to have some sort of a blanket. Two of the things that I don't add into that weight is the actual pack itself. That's all up to you. As far as having a blanket, a couple of emergency blankets will usually do a lot better than you might think they will. But as long as you're unable to wrap it properly, it's going to be colder than a cast iron commode anyway from a breeze. So make sure that you know how to roll them together so that you make a decent seam. And you might want a couple of pieces of Velcro if you can basically fit your blankets beforehand, put them around you, put the Velcro on the inside so you can put it together easily. And that way you're good to go as far as rolling it and tucking it so that it is wind resistant. And of course, you can also fold them in many cases so that it's you're going from corner to corner on the blanket instead of wrapping it around you the way that you normally would. That gives you a few extra inches. Alright, this won't stay connected anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and end it. You're welcome for playing bad guy and screaming bad stuff, and for basically treating people the way that they treat me, and also the way they treat many of you. People don't like equality. They don't like it when you treat them the way they treat you. See, they don't have the perspective, apparently, until you show them. You literally do the same thing back to them, or even threaten in a lot of cases, because, goddamn, there's a lot of stuff I'm not willing to do. There's a lot of stuff I'm not willing to do.